let's get to it. How you feeling, man? You feeling good?
Feeling good. I'm still buzzing from yesterday. I rode in an F1 race car, a McLaren, taking a hot lap for the media day that they had for local media, going 155 and then braking into 30 miles per hour into a sharp turn. It's pretty thrilling.
I never did that, but I did do 147 once.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, but I was driving.
Okay, you were driving.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the waiver you need for that?
Huh? What?
What's in the waiver that you got to sign for that one?
And if I tell you where I did it, it'll freak you out too. Okay. You ever heard of Card Sound Road?
Oh, okay.
So
you weren't taking a hot lap. You were taking
wham. And so there's a straightaway when you come off of US 1 and you get right onto Card Sound Road. You've got a really nice straightaway for quite a bit before you have to make the turn into the little town and all that, right? So you've got a couple miles. And so I knew it, right? So as I didn't see any cars, I had a vet in those days. And this was like 1987, I want to say something like that. Yeah, this is a long time ago.
This is young.
I came turning right into Card Sound Road, probably doing somewhere around 80, 85, and then I punched it, and I hit 147, and then I came right back down right away. But I hit 147 on Card Sound Road a long time ago, man.
So I'm glad you're still with us after that.
Yes, I am glad too. It's stupid things you do when you're a kid, but what are you gonna do? You're 21 years old with a brand new vet. You know, what are you gonna do, bro? 21-year-old, you're an idiot, and I was an idiot, but I'm here to tell the tale at least. So yeah, I was able to do it myself, but I never got into a race car, and I didn't have to do any curves. I knew there were no curves. I knew I had a straightaway because I used to take that. I used to take that road all the time because I used to go to I can say it now. What the hell? Illegal cockfights.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a ring that was after you went through the toll and Card Sound, you went over the bridge, you went down, and then you made a right to go to Key Largo. Well, in that stretch, halfway through, you'll see a little driveway on the right side, like a little dirt road. If you go, it's still there, the dirt road. Now I don't know what's inside anymore, and there's like a gate like a swinging gate that closes it. But that road, if you knew, you would take that dirt road in, and then when you ended up in this whole thing, and they had this whole elaborate thing, 3 different rows, and the roosters would fight and all that kind of stuff, and all the crazy Cubans were betting a lot of money and going crazy. And so, yeah, I would go there every once in a while to see that stuff because my dad was, rest in peace. He was huge into that stuff. My dad used to take roosters to Puerto Rico to fight.
Wow. This is wild.
Yeah. And in Puerto Rico, they go all out. They bring them down in glass cages. Boom, and then the doors open automatically and the roosters come out and start, and the cockfight starts. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they treat it like it's a heavyweight fight and stuff like that. So anyway, so the F1 race. So were you like nervous at all, or were you confident because you had a pro driving?
Yeah, confident because I had a pro driving. I was given advice beforehand not to eat too much, before I do it that day. So, and then I did start to worry a little bit when I saw some of the reactions from some others that participated. Like one person was throwing up, one person was not looking too hot. Seemed like they were a little dizzy out of it.
You want to rat anybody out that we know, or come on?
No. One person you probably do know, but we'll leave that out.
Come on, who is it? Who was the wuss?
No, I'm not going to do it to this person.
Daniel Rheaume made me barf in a stunt plane. So, I mean, he had me dry heaving all over the damn place. So, I felt queasy. I felt very Joe Philbin in the plane. I admit I couldn't handle a stunt plane. So, it can happen.
Yeah. Another person who handled it great, who you know very well, he was sweating profusely, like, and he loved it all, but he was soaked coming out of there from just like being in there a couple minutes. He was really sweating it out. So when I saw some of the reactions,
who was the Safadine?
That was Safed, yeah.
Yeah, well, I once you said sweating, I knew it was Safed because he's always walking around. He's the only one that goes to camp with a towel.
Yeah, well, Perk too.
That?
Perk sweats a lot too.
Yeah. But Safed, although Perk has a very famous sweat scene on Channel 7.
I could see this, yeah.
I ask Perk about it, okay? I think I still have the pictures of it because we were making fun of it the next day on the show. In fact, I still have the audio of Shapiro calling him Prick, not Perk.
I've heard this, yeah.
Yes. All right, Prick. I mean Perk.
Easy mistake to make.
You see, we've made a segment that really there's not a lot of Dolphin news. We've made it somewhat entertaining for you. You know what I mean? So,
it involves Dolphins beat writers.
Insight on life and media and all kinds of things going on. But when I get next week when I'm in studio, you guys need to remind me, and I'll play the audio of Shapiro interviewing Perkins and calling him Prick. I have it. I have the audio. I guarantee. And if you remind me next Tuesday when you're on, I'm in studio, I'll play it. Okay.
Wasn't it something like the Great Prick? Wasn't he called?
No. He was all right, Prick. I mean Perk. It was just like that. It was like a segue. Like, all right, Prick. I mean Perk. Let's go. It's like It was freaking hilarious. I think I played it on QAM like a whole bunch, except I had to beep it on QAM. Now that I remember, it loses part. I had to actually beep it and then kind of play it off. It's so boring on.
Once you beep it, it kind of loses its juice a little bit.
Yeah, there'll be no beeping on Tuesday. If you request, there'll be no beeping.
I'm surprised I've never made that same mistake because he gives me enough reason as my colleague to call him a prick all the time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like it. I like. Okay, so you can't give up who was barfing all over the place.
No, and I didn't even get a good look at who it was. I just saw there was someone with like people in between me barfing into a garbage bag.
So I'm willing to say that I ate a hot dog in the Panhandle and made me look like the Exorcist. I actually had an event at Dolphins training camp this year in the heat. And then also Daniel Rheaume's tortured my ass on a stunt plane and I was barfed. So I talk about, my shortcomings. Come on.
Okay, yeah. Well, if it was me myself, then I'd just admit it, but I don't want to throw anyone else under the bus.
Damn it, bro.
Yeah. And then the funny thing about the one who was a little bit dizzy, I didn't see barfing, but it's like I go and ask how they're doing, and then didn't really want to talk, but just like, go ahead and let me know. All right, yeah, just not feeling so well. Safed comes right over and then also sees this person and is also asking. And this person's like, you can see the look on their face, like, I just had to answer. Like, I don't want to fucking have to explain this to every single person. They just needed some time alone. So it was like everyone checking up on.
Hold on. That sounds like Poop Art.
Poop wasn't even there, but that's the last time I'm even going to let you start narrowing it down even more.
Okay, I'm trying to figure it out because when you snap like that, I'm thinking, okay, maybe Poop Art's the one that would snap at you like that.
No, didn't snap. It was just the look on their face was just like, I don't want to have to answer again. Like,
okay, so then not Poop Art.
Yeah, they didn't have the energy to snap. Actually, they was just sapped of energy. Just did not want to talk.
Okay, all right. Good shit, man. Good shit. All right, so what do you think about this silliness with Tyreek and Noah Lyles in July?
Not ideal. Well, if you're looking at it from a Dolphins fan's perspective, like this is where your focus is at, and then God forbid there's injury risk if you go out there and and do this. I mean, granted, it is several months away from training camp. We don't have a date yet, but you would figure if it's in the spring, if it's early summer, it would have to be early summer because Noah Lyles competes in July for some championships. So, yeah, you would hope it's just with enough time before training camp where if something did happen, he could recover if there's any soft tissue issue. But yeah, it's also, I mean, at most they'll run a 100. And I mean, you think he could just survive running 100 meters and not get hurt, especially with how much he runs professionally in his sport and avoids injury. But you do have to worry about those cramps he's always had. But yeah, not where you want his focus to be.
Teacher, I have a question, teacher.
Yes, Big O, please.
Is it allowed in his contract, teacher?
Okay, no, that's another thing. I wonder what's in there. What's in the minutia?
Teacher. I have another question. If he gets injured and it violates his contract, will the Miami Dolphins get relief, salary relief? Could they void his contract, teacher? Do you know? Because I keep wondering about all of this because it sounds really cute. Just like him saying, I'm out of here. And it's like, yo, dude, you're not out of there because those people are trying to save their jobs. They can't just cut you or trade you, bro, because the cap hit would cripple them. So you're all stuck with each other, whether you like it or not. So I know Tyreek has really and a lot of other people have they don't really have a touch of reality. So I'm wondering, is this allowed in his contract? And if he's injured, can the Dolphins protect themselves from all of this? Because you started the interview with a very key point. This is where your mind is at. Like you're coming off a disappointing year, disappointing offseason, all this shit. And this is what you're thinking about, this kind of bullshit, instead of focusing on having a great season. And you could injure yourself before this. And you and I know, dude, if he does pull a hammy, that shit could linger all year.
Yeah. You would like to see, especially after he was so adamant about the way the season ended to the point where he indicated he wanted out, that he would keep that same passion, although without the unreasonable request in the moment of just wanting to go somewhere else. But you would hope he just maintains that passion toward having the offseason that he needs to then put it together for next training camp and come back better. But now you see we're just a month away and from all that, and then he's already scheduling just other bullshit that he's working on and going at Noah Lyles back and forth. The contract questions, those are good ones. I do not know all the minutia there, and would be a good question for Drew Rosenhaus if he's willing to reveal any of those details before anything were to potentially come up.
Can't you get a hold of the contract from the NFLPA? Don't you have access to that?
I'm not sure.
Should.
Has that been a thing historically?
Well, if you know an agent that can get it for you, because all the agents can get it. That's the trick that we use if we want to find out something.
As far as another agent
you get another agent. They'll pull out the contract because it's all there in the NFLPA. Agents get to see everybody else's contracts because this way they see how contracts are structured, their competition, and then they can get ideas on how to then restructure their contracts for their future clients if somebody's doing something better than they are, or they did something new or something like that. They can see what different people have designed inside the contract. So that's just like a normal trick that you get an agent. Now you got to know the agent well, and he's got to be, and he's got to do it for you on the side. But yeah, you can do that, doggy. So if you have an agent that's a good friend, if I feel like doing it, I can go do it right now if I want to. I got several agents I can call that'll get that contract for me because. Hey,
okay, let's both get on that.
Let me give you another tip from my years of doing all this.
Sure.
There's a lot of agents that will be more than willing to pull a contract from a Drew Rosenhaus client.
I bet.
Okay. I can just tell you that. So, that'll be a fun thing that Dolphins may want to find out if it's, because the second that came up yesterday, I said right away, I go, wow, I don't feel like going through the work, but if you want to find out, that'll be interesting. If they covered their asses on that. So,
Good tip there.
yes. Well, I've been around the block a couple
You
times.
is,
I
yeah.
may know a thing
I'm
or
only
two.
entering year four on the beat. I completed season 4. I'm in like a fourth year of a whole calendar go round.
I'm in year 35, where for me it's like everything repeats. It just has different names and faces on it, and most of the scenarios I've seen, and it's just kind of like, it just I could just like refer to something else and say, okay, yeah, I saw this happen before. Unfortunately. All right. So what else do we have going on? What'd you think of Bobby Slowick?
That's right, Bobby Slowick. Yeah, I mean, great hire. I've liked the guy. Obviously, he was a hot name as far as rising up into potential head coaching ranks after he had just gotten the OC job with the Texans. Last year's season left something to be desired with the way the Texans offense and CJ Stroud didn't take another step. CJ Stroud having sort of a little bit of a sophomore slump, but I think having that extra mind in there of his caliber, and especially already having the connection with his brother Ryan Slowick in there, the connections that they have with Mike McDaniel going back a ways, the whole Slowick family. And I think that'll help with a lot of maybe some of the game planning bumps in the road that these offensive coaches hit with how they couldn't find answers for the way defenses played Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and stopped the deep passes and played those 2 high shells and basically had both of those guys double covered. And yeah, it opened up a lot for Jonnu Smith and Devon Achane out of the backfield, but still the passing game overall, without being able to get the ball so consistently to those receivers, it took a major step back. So I think just having his mind in there will help a lot in being able to game plan and find ways to still take what the defense gives you, but then also be able to dictate some like, okay, we want to do what we do and what we do best and still find ways to do it against certain defenses.
The only thing I saw it as is a friend hiring a friend, to be quite honest, because
there is that, yeah.
Passing is not really the major problem. His problem is you need to add a bigger receiver to the lineup and try to implement him in there, which is something he's had problems with. That's one. But your bigger problem is that, Mike, you were a run coordinator. That's your problem. You don't run enough. You're not dedicated enough to the run, and it's really, you're adding another guy for passing. I don't know. I wouldn't call passing his weakness. I would call running his weakness, lack of dedication and maybe also lack of let's say importance on the guard positions, because he feels it's a very transitory position. He feels like he can, the staff feels like they could just, bring anybody and teach him guard, and that's a little crazy.
Yeah, so hopefully they operate also aware of all these things too, because yes, all those points you made are right on the button, and yeah, so Mike needs to take from his run game coordinator past and implement some of those things, which were also up and down. All those years in San Francisco, he would have a great season running the football, and then it'd come back down, and then sort of the last couple of years have played out the same way, where on a yards per carry standpoint, 2023 was great. 2024, they come right back down. His play calling needs to improve in the run game aspect, and then the rest of it is personnel. Things you mentioned, getting a big wide receiver. That part of it will come in March. So hopefully, also with Slowick's voice in there, if that can help in making these personnel decisions for who they need to bring in once free agency hits. Draft preparation and analysis, scouting these prospects, who this team needs to bring in. Now, he wouldn't be involved maybe so much in a guard, but a bigger wide receiver. I would also hope Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer add a physical running back to the mix. Then they need to operate this offseason aware of all those things as well. But I wouldn't see it as any kind of negative to bring in a guy who was just an offensive coordinator. He's going to be eager to get back into those ranks and probably bring his best as pass game coordinator.
All right, so let me ask you. Finally, we'll wrap it up with this. And I talked about this the other day. In general, all of us pretty much agreed. Okay, Christian Wilkins, we get it. You didn't pay him the $27 million because he's, maybe not a pass rusher. There were some people that thought they should have paid him and should have kept him, whatever. The other one was, hey, Rob Hunt, man, $20 million, too much for a guard, right? That was kind of our whole thing, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
We're all wrong. We're all wrong. In hindsight, which is always 2020, I'm wrong. I got that one wrong. They should have paid Rob Hunt. You don't really draft a ton of linemen, and you hit on Jackson, you hit on Hunt, but you missed on Eichenberg. So you hit on 2 of the 3, which is great actually. But the $20 million, well, Trey Smith from Kansas City, like the most reliable lineman they have, is young, and he's going to be a free agent now. He's set to make $20 million in free agency. Easy.
Oh, that's the market now.
That's the market. Exactly. So I talked about this. We complained when Goran Dragic got his contract. Oh, my God, they're paying him that much. And then 2 years later, when you saw how well he was playing in the market, oh, yeah, that contract's a bargain now. Duncan Robinson, oh, my God, what are you paying him? And then he's draining threes. Oh, it's a very manageable contract. It's actually okay. And Tyler Hero now. Now Tyler Hero has actually got a manageable contract. Now, the bigger contract coming down the line, that might be crazy to sign, but still, So my point is that everything that you think is too expensive at that moment, it really is not in general. In most cases, there's going to be, the outliers, the dude in Cleveland, the massage guy, what's his name? You paid him a whole guaranteed contract. That's crazy. You know what I mean? That those are the outliers. But okay, so and then let me add insult to injury about how all of us got this shit wrong with Rob Hunt. Okay, so you mean to tell me you're not going to pay Rob Hunt when you didn't know at that moment, but you solved your problem at center for 3 years at $7 million per. You got a rookie left tackle starting in 25 that you're not paying shit for 5 years. Your right tackle, you got cheap. So all you got to do is pay your right guard. You add all of that to the mix. You're not really spending big money on the line. You could have afforded to spend, you should afford to spend on Hunt because you're stealing money with Austin Jackson at $12 million. You're stealing money with Brewer at $7 million. And if Patrick Paul's good, you've got him for 5 years under rookie deal. So hindsight is 2020. This is shit that we didn't figure out, and I made the mistake too. But if we start to look at the picture from 35,000 feet, and we look at the overall picture, we got to go, wow, that was a big screw up. Because this offseason, you'd only be looking for a left guard. So think about that. That whole thing that you can't pay $20 million a guard. Guess what? We're a bunch of idiots. You should have paid that guard because the guy didn't have one penalty all year, didn't have a holding penalty all year, and didn't miss a down all year. So, I mean, yeah.
We know he's an Iron Man from his time playing here. Only his last season had a little bit of a hamstring issue pop up and aggravated it. But I mean, still, he rarely missed any time. And then good to see him bounce back from that one ailment. So been an Iron Man, obviously a tremendous blocker. Now at the time he hadn't yet been a Pro Bowl guard, so he didn't make his first Pro Bowl as a replacement. So that was good to see for Rob Hunt. But here's where I could fault the organization is if they would have just extended him earlier. You could probably say the same thing about Christian Wilkins. Extend him earlier so that it didn't reach the point where it was his free agency and it was all that you had to pay. Now, I know Christian Wilkins, he also bet on himself. So that's why he turned down what the offer was at that point. And then it was yesterday's price is not today's price for him. And same thing sort of developed clearly with Rob Hunt. But if you could have gotten to it sooner, then that would have been great. But still, at $20 million, it's so tough, and it's not like the Carolina.
But in hindsight, you should have done it. You should have done it.
I wish once it got to that point. Okay, say $20 million, we'll pass on that, but they should have addressed it with at least some kind of mid-level guard and free agency. The way they found an Aaron Brewer at center, if you could find a similar deal, that would have been ideal, because then you're going into the next season with two guys who literally lost previous starting competition to, and this is when you already had Rob Hunt as a solidified right guard starter. It was they lost to Isaiah Wynn for that left guard spot that was up in the air. They were both runner-ups and, they were backups on the previous year's team that then had to get thrust into action because Isaiah Wynn went down and Connor Williams had an injury, and you had all this shuffling on the offensive line. Rob Hunt also himself had an injury. So they got thrust into all these starts as reserves, and then you're counting on them to be your surefire starters going into the next season when Isaiah Wynn still isn't ready to come back for the start of the year. And that's what you were betting on. So if they could have found some kind of mid-level, reasonable, economical choice at guard, I think that would have been a happy medium where it's not you're starting two backups as starters, and you could have had maybe it doesn't work out as well as Aaron Brewer, but just you get something decent out of one of the guards at least last season, even though you let Rob Hunt walk.
I'm with you there. All right, good shit. And you can follow him on Twitter at @DavidFurones_. And I would imagine you're going to follow up on that and try to find out that scoop on Tyreek, right? Don't make me do it, bro. I don't want to do my old job, bro.
Okay, yeah. Let me see if any agents I know are game.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be interesting to see if you can find that one out.
Yeah.
That would be one that I think Dolphin fans would be very intrigued. All right, what else are you working on over the weekend so folks can check you out?
Yeah, actually, I interviewed Rob Jones over the phone recently to get his thoughts on his free agency here going in. So I'll put that out early next week, and also next week I'll plan on checking out some draft prospects. Working with Pete Bomarito, who is legendary when it comes to training draft prospects for the combine for all the speed and agility drills. So a lot of guys go to his place over in the Aventura area and train ahead of the combine every year. So going to check out some guys and see who some of the guys who are training locally who might interest the Dolphins once it comes to combine and draft time.
All right, good shit. All right, my brother, have a fantastic weekend. We'll catch up on Tuesday, my friend. You be good out there.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
You got it. All right, Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. That's right. The Daniel Rheaume that put me on a stunt plane and had me dry heaving into a barf bag. Yep, that's him. If he's a stunt pilot, what do you think he does in the courtroom? He kicks some ass, bro. He doesn't flinch. Jeff Welt, the same way. That's why you want to hire Welt and Rheaume. And by the way, with the new laws, it favors the insurance companies, not us. So if you're unfortunately dealing with bankruptcy or homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, call my guys, Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume, 954-966-4646. Consultations completely free, and these are the guys that you can trust because you need to win this case. You are hurting. The insurance company isn't living up to their responsibilities, and it happens all the time. They're great at collecting your premium, but then when they've got to come through, there's always some problem, right? That's why you need the right people fighting for you. Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume will get it done. 954-966-4646. Manny Navarro starts hour number 2.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.